We ring our peace bowl this morning for our shared hope for peace on this earth. We ring this bowl remembering that story that is celebrated in Christian households all over the world, from Goa on the coast of India to Macau, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Ambos, Nogales, Sonora, and Arizona, the Philippines, and many, many places where, like us, most churches are empty. People are at home, celebrating in smaller ways, without grand choirs in person, but on the radio, through our internet. And throughout this celebration this year is woven the danger of a pandemic. Some who gather in families are workers in ICUs who are at the edge of their strength. May peace be with them. Some woke this morning with a sore throat, wondering if they were infected. Have you been wondering about those symptoms in you? I know we have. Others awakened, hollow with grief of beloved humans who are not with them, who died beyond them in ICUs this week without their voices. 250,000 families in this state alone are wondering if they will continue to have a roof above their heads. Should they be packing, they wonder, as they celebrate this time? Should they be talking with their children about the possibility of living in a shelter? Among those families, there are women who are close to giving birth, wondering what lies ahead for their child, for them in that vulnerable time. What is your story that connects you with this day?
The story that inspired the celebrations also happened during strange times. The land was occupied by a foreign army with a foreign language and customs, and as in these times, family life continued with more difficulty. People were born, people died. The cities and villages that grew out of the rocky, arid landscape that looks a lot like parts of Arizona were connected by roads occupied by soldiers. Like us, they had no universal health care. The rich could find care, but many suffered from their ailments in public, by roadsides. Theirs, too, was a stratified society, and the travelers had no smartphone to connect them with an Airbnb. There wasn't even a dicey motel with a permanent vacancy sign advertising rooms that we know will be permeated with decades of smoking. And there was a need for shelter. A baby was announcing their coming in sharp and prolonged pain. No one in the area where they walked knew the couple. Telling the names of their parents meant nothing to the strangers around them. They were strangers. They go to the first door and ask, "Is there room for us here to have a child? Is there room here for a couple to have a child?" During this season, a tradition is enacted in Mexico and the Southwest that used to be part of Mexico. A couple walks around the town with singing, asking that old question, "Is there room for me here?"
This morning, we welcome Henry, Maria, and Anna Fleury. Maria spent years of her childhood in a place where this tradition was enacted, around the town, singing, celebrated. Let us open our time together by listening to that ancient song.
So I spent my early years in Santa Fe, and there was nothing like being a kid, getting to be out after dark, and being mesmerized by the lights and the bonfires and the music of Las Posadas. This was one of the songs that I learned then, and it's an ancient song. We're happy to bring it to you today. La Virgen Virgen se está peinando entre cortina y cortina. Los cabellos son de oro y el peine de plata fina. Pero mira cómo beben los peces en el río. Pero mira cómo beben por ver a Dios nacido. Beben y beben y vuelven a beber los peces en el río por ver a Dios nacer.
La Virgen lava pañales y los tiende en el romero, los pajarillos cantando y el romero floreciendo. Pero mira cómo beben los peces en el río, pero mira cómo beben por ver a Dios nacido. Beben y vuelven a beber los peces en el río por ver a Dios nacer. La Virgen se está lavando con un poco de jabón. Se le han picado las manos, manos de mi corazón. Pero mira cómo beben los peces en el río, pero mira cómo beben por ver a Dios nacido. Beben y vuelven a beber los peces en el río por ver a Dios nacer. Los peces en el río por ver a Dios nacer.
Good morning and welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona on this Sunday before Christmas. I'm Bobby Bollinger and I'm pleased to be your worship associate this morning. We thank you all for joining us today and we hope you're taking good care of yourselves and are doing as well as can be expected during these unprecedented times. We offer a special welcome to those of you who may be visiting us for the first or even the second time. We're happy to have you here with us. If you would like more information about us, please check us out on our website at prescottuu.org and consider remaining online following the service today for our breakout rooms. There we can chat a little more informally and we can answer any questions that you may have. We begin our service this morning with Granite Peak's mission statement. We are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. We have special thanks this morning for all those who have made this service possible. Heather Knowles for her superb technical and production expertise, Mary Lou Prince for her musical direction, the Fleury family, Henry, Maria, and Anna for their musical numbers, and the Granite Peak Singers, formerly known as the Granite Peak Choir. And we do have a few announcements this morning. Regarding children's faith development today, the cartoons, in other words, the younger kids, are meeting right now as they began meeting at 10 this morning. And the older children will meet today as usual at 11:30. For any questions, please see Bev Bostrom. The Granite Peak's wonderful goddesses will be honoring the longest night of the year at our beautiful solstice service at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, December 21st. Please join this virtual celebration and consider bringing with you a drum or a shaker, as well as a candle for the service. The Zoom link is in today's order of service, but it will also be sent out along with some additional information in an email later today. And Christmas Eve is just 4 days from now. We hope to see you virtually for our Christmas Eve service at 5:30 on Thursday, the 24th, by way of Zoom. Join Reverend Patty and the choir for singing and storytelling, and you'll even have the opportunity to learn why the Grinch stole Christmas. We will use our Sunday morning Zoom link for that service. Each Sunday, we honor the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting our chalice. During today's service, we will hear stories of angels in the form of humans who have blessed us during our lives. I believe there are angels among us. They wear many faces and they come to us in our darkest hours. They grace us with a helping hand and offer a shiny ray of hope in our hour of need. In their giving, they teach us how to live, and they guide us toward the light of love. And for that ray of hope and that light of love, we light this morning's chalice.
Good morning. I can see some faces I haven't seen for a while who are now able to use Zoom. Yay, you! Last night, Mary Lou and I took Louie, who was so happy to not be left behind, into our car in the darkness. And we tried to find a spot from which we could see that star. Do you know that it has not been seen in that way, Mary Lou told me this morning, for 800 years. And then last night, as we were driving in the darkness, a deep childhood memory surfaced of getting into a car with my family on a cold night in our pajamas to go see something, to see the decorations or the moon or a comet shower. The star in Prescott kept disappearing into the trees, but we persisted. And it's 2 planets. Sorry, Lou is helping me say the correct astronomical words. It's Jupiter and Saturn coming together, converging. Thank you, Lou. But anyway, the Jupiter and Saturn that were converging kept disappearing into the trees, but we persisted in the cold with our binoculars, trying to see it. There is much that is different about this place than the one we remember from 2,000 years ago. The citizens of both places noticed a star, and we have binoculars, and we have information about what it really is. And in this place, there is no occupying army, but there has been a lot of saber rattling, and many have wondered, perhaps you among them, if this country was going to erupt into a civil war. We, as that couple walking alone, we have been wrestling with our fears, and we have needed angels. Last week, when I put out a call to you for non-perishable food and other items for immigrant families, connected with our congregation through Keep Prescott Together, you responded with great generosity. The call was shared with Indivisible and the Democratic Women and others, and we have a mountain of food and other items needed. And 9 frozen turkey breasts were given out yesterday that came from a woman named Laura who sent over a huge amount of food through the person who delivers food for her. We don't know her last name. You are being angels, out of sight, like the ones in the story, doing what is needed and giving the message that there is room in this community for those families. Let us sing together with those historical angels, Gloria. Please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. And now I invite you again into the sound of this bell. We ring our bell today, finding that place of quiet within us, beyond the distractions of technologies. Let us breathe together. Together, let us consider the joys and sorrows that are among us, that are on our hearts, feelings of loss, feelings of memories of other times that bring both sadness and joy. And let us feel that earth beneath our feet and remember the bright stars above. Today, especially, we hold Lydia Garrett's son-in-law, who works with people on death row, trying to bring justice. He, like our essential workers, is weary. We also hold Walter Fomlane, Maria Fleury's father, who fell and broke his hip, and he's had a successful surgery. We continue to hold Sue, the daughter of Anna Bess and Jim Robinson, who's in the midst of aggressive cancer treatment. Let us hold Dick Fox, Eunice Lovejoy, Janer Eldridge. Let us hold Karen Anderson as she continues to recover. Let us hold Cindy Pierce's daughter and Chris Parsons' Aunt Mary, who's living in a care center where there have been cases of COVID-19. We hold Eric Jarnigan, who is home and recovering. We hold him and his family in the circle of our love. Tom Potter, one of our newest members, has been remembering his mother, as I imagine Drew Potter, his father, has been remembering her too. Sunday, today, is her birthday. She passed away on June 7th, 2015. She was born in 1927 on a winter's day. She would be 93 years old this Sunday. I imagine many of you remember her. She grew up on a little farm in rural western Wisconsin. Tom wrote this about her: "There is not a day that goes by that she is not in our thoughts. I have realized that my mom taught me everything I ever needed to know in this life. I feel profound gratitude and love for her. The unconditional love that she gave me and continues to give me is a light that illuminates my path. I miss her today, as I do most days, but when I look for her, as I will today, she is there, offering unbounded love and comfort and peace." Let us breathe again together, holding that light that people we have loved have given to us and whose love illuminates our path. I invite you now to say the names of those who are on your hearts and minds, and that will be followed by some silence, after which I will offer a meditation and prayer. Josh and Becca. Spirit of life, we are here, showing up in this place that is separate and together. We hold in this time the joys and sorrows we experience in this season of darkness that is moving into light. We hold our essential workers all over this world, We hold all those who have received a diagnosis of COVID-19. We hold their fears. We hold the veterans who live in the building next to ours. We hold with happiness one of them, Thomas Massey, who has found a permanent place to be. We hold their hope for finding permanent places. We hold all of those fearing eviction. And we hold our leaders and that they will do what is needed to divert this great suffering that is just before us. We ask for those people who have the power to be angels in this moment, to be angels. We ask our governor to give the funds that he has to the people of greatest need in this state. For all these big requests and hopes, we add those of our deepest hearts. In your many names, amen. Please now join me in walking with you. Walking with you is my prayer.
We pause now in our service for the morning offering, which supports the ministry and the work of Granite Peak. Your generosity allows us to support our congregation's activities and our involvement in the wider community for which our congregation is known. We also give back to the greater community each month through our Seeds of Support program. This month's recipient is the Martin Luther King Week and Celebration through the Quad Cities Interfaith Council. Granite Peak and other community members will be working with QCIC to facilitate these events in the middle of January, just about 4 weeks from now. If you would like to assist with planning this celebration, please contact Reverend Patty. To make your donation online, go to our website at prescottuu.org, and there on the bottom left-hand side, click the screen where you'll find the word donate to contribute. If you mail your contribution to the church, please write pledge or Seeds of Support on the memo line so that your gift will be distributed as you wish. We acknowledge and appreciate the generosity of spirit expressed through your offerings. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be.
When it's late December, dark and cold,
Where is the light?
when the old man here is bending low,
Where is the light?
when the sun comes off his bed too soon,
Where is the light?
and it's nothing but a skinny moon.
Where is the light?
Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. Oh, when it's dark each morning when I rise,
Where is the light?
and it's dark when my eggs are frying,
Where is the light?
and it's dark when off to work I go,
Where is the light?
and it's dark again when I get home.
Where is the light?
Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. like kerosene.
Where is the light?
I'm dancing like a candle flame.
Where is the light?
I'm flaming like a fruit flambe.
Where is the light?
Can you tell me
Where
where?
is the light?
Where
Is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me.
can you tell me
Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light?
Oh, lights inside of me. 2, 3, 4. This is light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This is light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This is light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
It all around the world.
All around the world. I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world. I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Solstice.
And goodbye 2020. Happy 2021.
See y'all later.
Thank you, Henry, Maria, and Anna. Oh, our first story today is from Midge Franco. She talks about a nurse who helped her parents during this pandemic in Florida. While having routine blood work last week, my 96-year-old father-in-law mentioned to the nurse that he and his wife had only one roll of toilet paper left at home, and they couldn't find any in the neighborhood supermarket. He asked her if she knew of a place he might go to get some. She said she did not. That evening, just as he and his wife were finishing up dinner, there was a knock at the door. It was the same nurse with a large package of toilet paper. She and her friend searched at least 10 stores until they found what he needed and would not take a penny for their troubles. How wonderful folks are, Midge Franco wrote. Today, we celebrate the people who have been kind, who have shown themselves to be wonderful during this pandemic. Let us listen to Henry and Maria perform the Huron Carol, Canada's oldest Christmas song, written around 1642 by Jean de Brébeuf, a Jesuit missionary at Sainte Marie, among the Huron peoples of Canada.
Was in the moon of winter time, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Gitche Manitou sent angel choirs instead. Before their light the stars grew dim, and wandering hunters heard the hymn. Jesus Atonia, Jesus Atonia. Within a lodge of broken bark, the tender babe was found. A ragged robe of rabbit skin enwrapped his beauty round. But as the hunter braves drew nigh, the angel's song rang loud and high. Jesus children of the forest free, O sons of Manitou. The holy child of earth and heaven is born today for you. Come kneel before the radiant boy who brings you beauty, peace, and joy. Jesus Atonia, Jesus Atonia.
Wasn't that beautiful? Thank you, Henry and Maria. Unitarians have struggled with the supernatural, with the miracles that most Christian churches call upon their members to believe in order to be considered members. Instead of rejecting, though, what we do not understand, I believe that this calls us to see the holy in the human, in the natural, perhaps even to expand the human and the natural to encompass what have been called miracles. Last Christmas Eve, you shared your stories of people who had been angels in your lives. When you most needed help, pregnant, sitting in your car, on a bridge, with a flat tire, or awaiting the birth of a child, someone appeared, a stranger, a nurse with a name, and gave you just what you needed. And with that gift, something intangible, hope in humanity. When situations push us down, these people can appear. I think that could happen because when we are in trouble, we are vulnerable, not by choice, but vulnerable nonetheless. And when we are vulnerable, we open ourselves to the world, to connections, to that person or persons, or to something in nature, a falling star, the light in the treetops. And those things, those people give us just what we need. Have you felt, as I have throughout this pandemic, have you felt your part in that interconnected web of life that connects us with everything and everyone else? People halfway across the earth have been experiencing the same as we have, and their stories are holy stories. From the essential workers of India, here is a story from a doctor, Kaushik Barua, in a critical care hospital in India. All over the globe, doctors are on the front lines fighting the pandemic, and they are often working around the clock. The anxiety and stress levels at work are immense, said Kaushik Barua, a 30-year-old critical care resident at a private hospital in Delhi, India. But through this tough journey, I have had the help of one truly kind soul, he said. His landlord, Rohit Suri, has been cooking him meals every day. So he has a plate of hot food waiting for him when he returns home, exhausted from work. The two men have become good friends, as Mr. Suri also lives alone. And from Singapore, we hear, with the sudden announcement of a lockdown in Malaysia, many who are on a daily commute to Singapore for work from Johor, Malaysia, were left without a place to stay in Singapore, and some resorted to sleeping in public places. Some said, This is heartbreaking. Let's help them find places to stay. Others said, I have a place where they can come stay. One such place was Transit Point at Margaret Drive. In a stroke of serendipity, it had just opened a week before the lockdown announcement as a shelter for the homeless in Singapore. Volunteers from all walks of life sprang into action. Some reached out to those on the streets, others prepared the space to house over 50 people, and many took turns to cook for them. Donations of mattresses, lockers, daily necessities flowed in, much more than ever expected. Reminds me of how I have felt this week at Granite Peak, much more than ever expected. The writer ends with, needs were met, anxiety was calmed, hope was restored when people cared enough to step forward to give in ways that mattered. It is precisely acts of compassion like these that will bring us closer and stronger together, and these will be what gives us triumph over the storm. And from Vietnam, we hear, everyone can see that this pandemic has driven the disruption of society and the economy. In some parts of our country, people make a living only by growing tropical fruits, but they have been in trouble with exporting goods since it happened. In February, ABC Bakery, a famous local brand, had the idea of using dragon fruit juice. Dragon fruits are wonderful, I really recommend them. Using this dragon fruit juice instead of pure water to make bread and cakes so that they can help consume a huge amount of unsold produce. They used these red dragon fruits together with other ingredients to make pink baguettes. The moment I saw many people queuing in front of the bakeries, I also wanted to try, not only because of my curiosity, but I also wanted to express my thanks to the chef and contribute to support our country. It was more than what I expected, with a nice taste and beautiful color. Substituting water with the juice of red dragon fruit to make baked goods made everyone feel better. And I do believe that everyone all over the world is feeling the same. I'm a bread addicted person, and I could feel that the piece I held in my hands was made from humans' kindness. I don't think this pandemic period is all bad. It is a chance for us to realize that although life is harsh, we can feel what love really means through these warm-hearted actions. We don't need to do much. A small effort done with love also works. And in New York, a New York Times journalist, Lauren Katzenberg, showed the love for our animal friends who are also feeling the effects of the coronavirus by fostering a homeless dog. A genius way to help with the increasing pressure on dog shelters, whilst also gaining some adorable company for social distancing. And in Ecuador, when the local dairy supply centers closed because of the COVID-19 emergency, Alvaro Ramon, a cattle farmer and milk supplier in the Amazon region of Ecuador, was left with many gallons of milk and a spirit of solidarity. He decided to give away his surplus milk to help the families affected by the lockdown and the broken supply chain. One morning at the beginning of the pandemic, when restrictions were first put in place, Alvaro posted on social media, "If you know someone who needs milk, we are giving it away today." He hoped that this post would reach more families in need and motivate other local producers who were in a similar situation. In a few minutes, Alvaro was flooded with messages from people all over the community, mothers with young children, elderly, as well as young families. They were all more than eager to receive Alvaro's help. He said, "I was motivated to provide my daily production of milk for free, and I started safely delivering milk to low-income families, pregnant women, and to mothers with young children," said Alvaro, committed to the community in which he has been living for more than 35 years. What are your stories that connect you with these stories? On this day, we remember how vulnerable we have been these past months, wondering if the virus would catch up with us, with someone we loved. And for all the kindness in this community, the greater community that is embodied by the amount of food that is now in our sanctuary, and in the kindnesses enacted in this country, state, county, and the whole world. In all these kindnesses, in the opening of doors, the delivering of food, the early morning kayak rides, the thinking of others, welcoming the stranger, in this, we find very human joy that I believe is also holy joy. Together, let us hold our memories of this pandemic. Let us keep them with us for the people who follow this time. Let us remember what we have learned in this pandemic of human kindness and holy joy. Amen, and may it be so. Let us now join our Granite Peak singers in Joy to the World. This week, your generosity and connection with the greater community that has called them into our place as well, all of that has been palpable. Actually, I could feel it in the heft of the boxes and packages that have arrived. And many strangers have appeared bearing gifts. One stranger was so happy, I asked if I could share her story with you, and she said yes. Here is a stranger in our sanctuary. Thank you so much for coming and tell us your story.
Oh, first of all, I'm overwhelmed at the amount of stuff that's here. This is individuals, not a food bank. It's just stacked 6 inches, 6 feet high. And so I was just looking around on Prescott Indivisible. It's a page on Facebook, and there was a list put together like a little poster. I thought, oh, I can do this because my daughter is grown. She's in her 50s. My grandsons are in their 20s and 30s. And the one grandson who's got little babies said, please don't give them any more presents. They're overpresented. So I said, fine, I'll be a Secret Santa and I'll go grocery shopping because it just felt good. It just felt so good. I had so much fun. I mean, you can see, right? I had fun. Yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, it's very verklempt. I know that's an overused word, but it's really moving that these are individuals. This is not an organized food bank. This is people who had a list that you put together because you knew what your people wanted, and gosh.
Wow.
I mean, just look. It's crazy. It's awesome.
Wow. Oh. For the joy, for the kindness that sparks joy, we sing Alleluia. Won't it be wonderful to see our little Clara Rose in person? Wow. Oh, well, today we extinguish our chalice again together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. If you would like to stay and talk with me about the ways that you have been lifted by angels during this pandemic, then stay in the main room. Otherwise, join your breakout room. Thank you so much. Bye.